Hi there, welcome to Computer Science 20S. This is Liberty Basic Unit 1, and this is Lesson 5, Debugging. And sometimes things just don't work. You've probably discovered by now that your first crack at a program doesn't always work, and this is usually referred to as a bug in the program, and there's a Wikipedia link right here. If you want to click on that, you can find out some of the history behind why we call things a bug. Some interesting little history there. I'll let you read that on your own. For now, let's move into what debugging is. Liberty Basic has a really nice debugging feature. I'd like you to type in the following simple code here for x equals 1 to 100, print x, next x, and then select the bug icon in your Liberty Basic. I'm just going to show you how that works here. I can cut and paste. You'll have to type, maybe pause the program, the video for a moment or so here. So this is just a simple loop that counts from 1 to 1,000. If I run it, it prints all the numbers from 1 to 1,000. Please do not put 10,000 in there. It'll take forever, and there's no way to stop it. If you run the debugger one right here, you'll notice that it runs the code, and if you click on this one right here, it actually steps through the code one single line at a time, and it gives you what the value of x is every time. This is very handy for when you're trying to figure out what's wrong with your program. You can animate it so that it goes really fast. You'll notice that it's running in the background here, or if I just click play, it just runs without animating. So you can use this to sort of slow things down a little bit and sort of see inside the code what's going on. So that's kind of the basics of how a debugger works. There is debugger help. This question mark right here, I'm not really sure if that's going to work so well in school, but it probably will work if you've got it downloaded at home. So here's a little practice assignment. I'd like you to type in the following code and use the debugger and perform what we call a variable trace or a hand trace of the variables. Here's the code right here. It's just a little squaring program. I'm going to cut and paste it. You should take a moment, pause the video, and type it in. It should also be on the handout sheet that comes with this lesson as well. And then I'll show you what a hand trace is or a variable trace. So pause the video now, please. Okay, so here I've got the code right here, and I'm just going to run it with a debugger. And so all a hand trace really does is what you do is I'm just going to close that down. There's my main window. And here's my debugging window. All that a hand trace really does is just simply you keep track of things yourself by hand. So I've got max value, and I'm writing with a mouse here, so that's why my handwriting is extra poor today. Max value and x. And so as I run the program, I see that max value and x are equal to 0. So I write down 0, 0. And as I step through the program, I've got an input enter value to be squared. I need my main window up so I can see that. And I'll just put 6. I think I was supposed to put I don't remember the number that I was supposed to use, but we'll use 6. So max value becomes 6. So I change my hand trace to a 6. And I keep stepping. If max value is bigger than 20, it's not. So for x equals 1 to max value, and you'll see that x has now become 1. So I change my value of x on my trace, my hand trace. I change my value, stroke out the 0, make a 1. And what does it do? It prints counter and square. It prints x and x squared. This is how you do the squared. And then it goes to next x. And you'll notice that max value remains 6, x has become 2. And you simply continue on running through the program and changing the value of x, because every time as you go through, x goes up by 1. You'll notice here when this for next loop ends that x actually goes to 7. That's how it knows to stop here, because max value is equal to 6, so x goes to 7. So your hand trace should really show a 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. Okay, so that's what we call a hand trace. So you should maybe run the debugger, perform a variable trace, use test values of 5 and 21 just to sort of see what happens. Basically, all I really need you to know from this lesson is how to use the debugger. Okay, practice number 2 here. Type in the following programs, and I want you to run a variable trace and find the error, if there is one, error or errors in this particular code. It says Debugging practice number 2, input what number would you like to see multiples of. This is all one line. For x equals 1 to num, go ahead and type that in. Pause the video here, run the variable trace, and see if you can find out what the problem is. Pause the video, please. Okay, so here I've got the code inputted, and I'm going to run the trace. You'll notice right away that I see all the variables that are listed. I have a num and I have a number. The program runs. I want to see multiples of 6, we'll say. But the problem is that I've got my for and x equals 1 to num, and num is equal to 0, x is equal to 1, so it automatically stops and it doesn't do anything. So the error is that I don't have number here. Now you probably maybe spotted that. Oh, quick note here too, you can't fix code in the debugger. You have to close the debugger, go to the actual code and fix it. You maybe have spotted that when you were typing it in. That's great. When you have a really long program and you have spelling mistakes like that, you may or may not spot them. That's why the debugger is so good. And there we go. There are the multiples. Oh, that's not quite what I wanted, right? The multiples of x. It should be multiples of number. I guess there's 2 errors in there. Didn't realize that. That's better. I guess you could also say that I don't really want this print inside the loop. I probably want it out here. Something like that. Yeah, that's better. So anyways, the debugger can be used quite nicely for those type of things. Okay, so here's handy number 5. What I've done at one time, I had students write this program and I found it a little bit too challenging. So I'm going to convert the sum of numbers program to find the factorial of a number. I don't know if you know what a factorial is. Factorial means to multiply all the integers below that value together rather than add them. So like 4 exclamation mark is the symbol for factorial. 4 factorial is equal to 4 times 3 times 2 times 1. You're going to need, or you should need, the use of the debugger to complete this program. There is a major error in the code that I'm making on purpose. The debugger should find it for you, and it's a relatively easy fix once you find it, but if you don't run the debugger, kind of hard to find. So I'd like you to hand in the corrected program, just worth 5 marks or so, just a quick little thing. Add a comment in the spot that you fixed it and tell me exactly what you had to do to fix it. Here is the sum of numbers program, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you how I created a factorial program out of that. So here's the sum of numbers program. So I'm going to now change this to a factorial. I'm going to enter the number to find the factorial 2. We're going to call it max count. Get number 4 factorial. This is a good example of reusing code. If max count is bigger than 10, then I'm going to say, hey, less than 10. Otherwise, I'm going to print factorial of max count, something like this. And I'm going to run a count for count equals max count to 1, step minus 1. I'm going to loop from, actually, I guess it's not from 1 to max count. Technically, it's max count to 1. And I'm going to say fact equals fact times count, because I'm now multiplying instead of adding, and I'm simply going to print the factorial value, and then I'm going to go next count. Okay, so I have made on purpose at least 1 error. I probably made a couple of errors not on purpose, so your job for this particular lesson is to fix this program. You'll notice that there's only a couple of comments here. You're going to have to add a comment. Sometimes it's nice if you line the comments up. By lining the comments up like that, they sometimes make it a little bit easier to see. So again, there's at least 1 error in here, probably 1 or 2 more. Your job is to find them using the debugger and submit that code. Good luck with that, and we'll see you soon on the next lesson.